911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. It looks like a man. I don't know what it was. Just it ran across the yard.
It seems to be a Bigfoot leaning against a tree in a wooded area.
I have seen plenty of people with big feet, but not Bigfoot.
Tree lines and brush, he sees about a 7 and 7.5 foot tall Sasquatch looking back at him.
Kind of looks like a wolf, but not like a neighborhood dog.
Take these stories for what they are in hopes that maybe if it's out there, then show me.
Yeah. And says he might have caught the mythical chupacabra creature terrorizing his chickens.
Like a grunt and a knock. It's like a...
I think there's kind of a cultural tendency for people to want to make Bigfoot a quote-unquote monster.
Welcome to ECBRO Bigfoot Radio.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bigfoot Zone, ECBRO. Also, ECBRO Bigfoot Radio. So, hey, tonight, guys, we're going to have a very interesting discussion. After me and Mike, we did a little brief discussion earlier. I think we're going to talk about some research, but much more than that right now. I'm going to put Michael Cook on the spot as I want to do some promoting right now. Many of you guys know Mr. Michael Cook, and you know what he's been involved with and what he's been featured on. And we're going to talk about that very shortly. First of all, let me make a side note here. And I'm watching the live chat, and I'll try to pay attention to that to the best of my ability. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to share, feel free to throw it out there. If you have questions for anybody on the live chat, on the panel, just go ahead, throw it out there. And again, I'll try my best to share it on the screen with everybody and see what happens. So, one thing when it comes to my event, the annual ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference, which is happening June 20th and the 21st right here in Wares Cave, Virginia, at the community center. Well, one of the things we have there a lot of year, we love our authors. We usually have a healthy lineup of authors on site, which we do this year as well. And I want to, if you don't know Mr. Michael Cook, he has a new book released through the Hangar Publisher Company, and he has a new book. We're going to talk about that. And how about it, Mike? I'm going to just hand this over to you. If you want to kind of give us a little backstory on that, and let people know what that book is about and why you decided to write that book.
Well, it's hi everybody. This is Michael W. Cook coming to you live from Kentucky with a broken nose and a concussion and a pretty cool scar between my eyes now. We'll talk about that in a little bit too if you want to. But what made me write the Bigfoot? I hope you like. I hope you and Ryan liked the original title. By the way, I mean, it took a lot to try to figure out what the book would be called.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, the Bigfoot. What got me to write it? I tell you what, I have notebooks up on top of notebooks. This October will make 23 years that I've been actively doing this crazy stuff. And am I any closer? Probably not. My mind's a little bit more open. And I want to apologize first, folks. I'm nasally, and that is partly because of my broken nose and the way Kentucky weather has been. 3 days ago, it was 80 degrees. Today, it got to 50. So,
it's been cool here in Virginia too. Yeah,
it's awful. I love this time of year, and I hate it. It's love-hate. But the Bigfoot, mainly it's what happens when you skip school one day at 16 and myth literally rolls into reality on you. And I've collected a lot of information. I was going to say stories, but this book has one story in it, and that's it. the original sighting that I had. That's the pre first chapter entitled "The Riverbank," and I go from there. And I talk about if you've been a part. Daniel's seen my presentations numerous times, and what I do is I go through the history of Bigfoot, and I make it all the way up to today, and then I go past today. The very end of the presentation and the book is where we're going, the future. So it's a culmination of the past, present, and future, where where this crazy idea came from, which starts out with indigenous tribes all over the world, and fast forward to the dawn of Bigfoot research, which predates the Patterson Gimlin film. I have one chapter right in the center of the book that is dedicated to the Patterson Gimlin film. Uh, I don't really I don't really come out and give my full unadulterated opinion on the film itself or any of the events that happened around it. I just tell facts. I state facts about what happened, and I kind of leave it up to the reader. Any Bigfoot researcher that's been in this for more than 2 days would know that the Patterson Gimlin film is the most famous Bigfoot quote unquote evidence that's out there, but it is the most ridiculed film that's ever been created, that's ever been made. Um, Over the years since 1967, there's been a couple of handfuls of people that's came out and said I was the guy in the monkey suit. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you were. So you're 5'9". The they've done some pretty extensive studies that say that particular subject was between 6'7" and 7'2". So where did you lose? Did you lose your legs at the knees?
Yeah. Yeah. Shrink.
Um, so there we go with that, and that's all I have to say about that particular chapter. But I talk about infrared a lot. I talk about camera technology, and where without giving too much away, why would I want to do that when you can go get the book and read it yourself? But where we would be, fast forward to 2027, which is that's I'm sorry, I'm also suffering from a concussion too, so um that's
I was going to say 2027. You're a little forward there, buddy.
yes. Well, I'm going 2027 because that is 60 years
Exactly.
post the Patterson Gimlin film, and if you go there and say the exact same circumstances happened with our technology today, say there's I don't know, say Ryan and Dan are on the riverbank out in Northern California, and they both have camera phones. They both have, what is it now, 8K shooting technology with the Sony Handycams now.
Yeah.
Uh, Automatic steadying. Where would we be after that if somebody filmed the same thing 2 years from now, 60 years post Patterson Gimlin? I mean, the fact remains there's going to be ridicule no matter what.
Yeah.
You and I, and you both and I, you all know as well as I do, the very moment somebody finds out what we do, um, we're automatically given the given the given the stuff. You don't believe in that, do you? Are you telling me? Now I know there's monkeys and gorillas and everything else out there, but you can't tell me there's big. Where's the bodies? Well, I cover that too in that book, and I actually had this conversation with a guy today, and he was like, "Well, if these things are intelligent, blarty blarty blarty, where's the bodies? Why ain't nobody ever come across a body?" I'm like, "Dude, how many black bear are in Harlan County, Kentucky? You know, we never come across the body unless it's on the side of the road. Well, there you go. There,
Right.
why ain't nobody ever hit one? There's people claim to have hit something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard stories.
That's a fact.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a fact. There's people that's claimed to have hit something out there. There's people that've claimed to have shot one. One of the most famous incidents that's occurred, and his name isn't mentioned a lot anymore, mainly because the Bigfoot community pushed him out as a fraud, as a hoaxer, whatever you want to call him. Is Justin Smaya. Justin claimed to kill one, to shoot and kill one.
And he does, yeah. In his testimony, more than once, he swears by it.
It's never deviated. I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen him interviewed several times, and he's never deviated from what he says happened.
Yeah. And I've had him on a podcast many years ago. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
yeah.
I know Justin, and people ask me the same question. They'll look at me and say, "You have Todd Standing on your friends list." Well, you have to dig deep to find Todd on my friends list. It's kind of weird that you're stalking my friends list, but whatever. What what are you getting at? Well, you don't really buy into that, do you? I'm like, I wasn't there, and that's my stance on everything. I wasn't there. How can I say Todd Stang's a liar? How can I say he's a hoaxer? I wasn't there. The fact remains, if it's not fabricated, Todd Standing's um, evidence is the proof. That's the thing. Well, it don't look nothing like what the Paris and Gimlin creature look like. Oh, well, I mean, do I look like you? It. No, we're all different. I mean, okay, you take two animals of the same species, and I'll use a doe deer for example. You kill one, you kill two the exact same size, and lay them side by side. Facially, you're not going to tell a difference in them. You're going to say that's a doe. Well, that's a doe. Which one's which? I don't know. But with primates, everything is different. And no, I'm not going to sit here and say that Bigfoot are a primate. And that's the beauty of this book. Gwen Purcell made a very, very good statement about this book. She read the book before anybody did. And she said, "Boy, I'm going to say this. If you are seeking all the answers to Bigfoot, this is not the book to read." And I made it, I wrote this book exactly to be like that. I want you to question every single thing out there because when there's no questions, there's no search.
Hmm.
And what do we do when that's over? We don't do this. If all the questions are answered, then, I mean, we can hang our hats up. It's it's done. It's over with. There's no question. Not every question on this earth is answered, even about known animals.
Right. And some
I,
may never get answered.
well, Daniel, that's why I like your tagline a lot. You need to. I forget how it's worded. You can correct me. know
Learn and
about learn
learn and know. Yeah, what's known.
learn about what is known before seeking the unknown.
Right.
or at least what's known in the region that you're searching.
Right. And like here. Okay, so Daniel and I have pretty much the same animals. I mean, we have black bear, we have white-tailed deer, an occasional cougar, um, skunk, squirrel, rabbit.
I'm
Ryan,
pretty
you're up.
sure I got. I'm pretty sure I got a few Pikachu's roaming around.
Yeah, Ryan is upstate New York. So let's see. Correct me, Ryan. Are there moose there?
Not where I'm at, up toward the mountain range. There's few and far between. It's not really moose. It's more elk.
Yeah, we have elk.
Yeah, we got
They
elk here in Virginia.
they were reintroduced, and same thing with you, Daniel. They were reintroduced back in early 2000s.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and
Actually,
they
yeah, history says when I looked up the research on the elk population here in Virginia alone, yeah, it actually dates back where they've actually introduced them a few different times. Actually, 1960s, the early 1960s, then later on in the 1980s again, and then actually over in West Virginia, they actually did it about maybe 10 years ago again. So,
well,
but yeah,
the the elk here in Kentucky, man, and forgive me for anybody out there that love these animals. I do. Believe me, I put a picture of a group of elk on Facebook a couple weeks ago. Um, I think they're beautiful animals. I really do. But with the exception of Bigfoot, they have no predators here, period. And somebody said, well, a group of coyotes. Yeah, a dozen or so
yeah,
could bring down a bull elk. One, no. And that's a great segue to where I wanted to go with this. The last 3 days have been the most exciting for a dinosaur nerd like me. Um, the de-extinction of the dire wolf,
direwolf. Yeah, I've been seeing that. Yeah,
and people are like, "You're playing God. You're doing this. You're toying with the natural way that things went." No, that's not the natural way. Dire wolves, mammoths, giant ground sloths, all them dudes were hunted and killed to extinction by us. We done it. I think this is a way we correct our mistake. Um, and they can use de-extinction for so much. The technology that they have is unrivaled in the history of history. We are looking at bringing the white rhino back, the Tasmanian tiger, which is a cryptid. There's still
yeah,
sightings, and I can say this now. I couldn't say this 5 years ago. I was involved in a research project that was based in Tasmania and Australia. I've seen trail cam footage of these creatures from the last 10 years. These animals, I've seen trail cam footage of them.
Hmm.
They're not extinct. They are very, very few. In fact, it's gotten to the point of probably inbreeding and all this stuff. But the fact remains, we can correct a lot of our mistakes.
I
And
seen. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to make mention that I believe it was either yesterday or earlier today I came across. I didn't look at it to read it, but it was a post on, I don't know, it might have been Facebook or Instagram, but talking about with all the reintroducing what they're recreating what they claim was extinct. Well, there was the funny quote said, "Well, we have how many movies do we have that warn us against doing this?" Like just joking around. Like look at Jurassic World, Kingdom, Fallen Kingdom, and everything else. Where just the whole beginning of Jurassic Park. And look
You
what
see,
happened until.
I made the same. I made this funny post the other day when this came out on the news, and I said I give it a whole month until we see dire doodle puppies for sale. But
Yeah, I remember seeing that. That's funny.
and somebody come back and said, "Oh, you think this is funny? You think, but these animals are dangerous and blarty blarty blarty." Well, you know what? We get hunted today. There's X amount of cougar attacks. There's X amount of wolf attacks. Grizzly bears alone take out several people a year. Sharks, alligators. I could keep on naming them if I want to. The most dangerous animal to humans is an insect. The mosquito takes more than any animal on Earth a year with the
Then I
spread
would
of
go.
disease.
Yeah, then I would go to number two, second the tick. Ticks could be a nuisance too.
Ticks are dangerous, man. That's people.
Yeah,
I seen somebody on Facebook the other day that said, you know, I uh, I got a possum on my porch. I just killed. Barty, barty, barty. Why would you kill that? They eat ten
yeah,
thousand ticks a year.
Yeah.
exactly.
And no possum's going to attack you. I've
No,
never
they
come
don't.
across any possum that growl. They'll growl at you and then they'll run away.
Yeah,
I tell you what freaked me out last year. And something came up and you weren't able to be there, but in South Carolina they have armadillos now. And I was so fascinated with these little dudes. We had a mama and a couple of babies at the cabin, and I was damned and determined to try to catch one. And I was reading about them, and then I found out that they carry leprosy.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And I was
Yeah.
like, don't need leprosy, don't need a biblical disease. uh, and then somebody come back and said, I said that on Facebook because I say everything on Facebook because I'm a comedian too. So somebody's like, that's not true. Okay, well, I read it on the internet, so why wouldn't it be? But
Yeah, I've heard from other sources, but yeah,
going back to the whole dire wolf thing, the people take so much, so literal, and so personal today. I I was doing my book promotion on TikTok, and this guy that I've known for a while starts making comments, and he's like, "Well, last time I checked, you just came out in 2015, so that's just 10 years." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I spent a lot of time doing private stuff." And he brung in so many other people, and I ended up having to remove this guy from my friends list and completely block him because he was trying to be a troublemaker. And I'm like, dude, can you not let somebody get a win every now and then? Like I got my world literally rocked last week.
that's where that
My
came from. Okay, I thought it was somebody on Facebook giving you a hard time.
Oh, he switched over to Facebook after I blocked him on TikTok. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, so it's let
I feel your
somebody have.
pain.
Yeah, right. I mean, why can't you just let? I mean, you okay? Here's the thing. Ryan's a good one to bring up. I'll post something on Facebook. Ryan will make some kind of funny comment.
Yeah, he's famous for that.
But am I taking offense to what Ryan says? No, because we're buddies.
100%.
But if you come at me clearly wanting to cause trouble, then expect the repercussions you're going to get. Now, I've had people come to me after, say, Ryan's made a comment and say, "Hey, man, I seen this guy make a comment on your post. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. You should go to his post. I used to see the shit that I write to him. I mean, we go back and forth all the time because we're buddies.
They
That's
don't
like
get
Yeah.
that. They don't
That's like
understand it.
no, that's like Dan. I give Daniel shit all day long, but the very
Yep.
second I see somebody come at him in a very personal way, you
Right.
better damn believe I'm going to come after them. Cause he's my buddy, and he's like Daniel's like that little cousin that you have that your dad tells you not to beat up and be mean to.
but
We
Michael
know
Cook's the same one. Michael Cook's the one you just hold your hand on his head while he still swings.
that's. I mean, I can kick you in the shins though. So there's that. That's
Yeah.
like okay. Every single year for the rest of my life, ever how long that is, I will forever post in January the memory that comes up every January of me and Daniel out bigfooting and him on his phone every year, no matter what. Here's a good memory of me bigfooting and Daniel Facebooking. Uh,
Well,
cause
I was
it's
probably getting ready to go
fun.
Facebook Live because we did go Facebook Live out there. So
Yeah,
You did. I didn't. You went Facebook Live. But the
that was
fact of
one
the
of my
matter,
oh
things too.
I like to give. I like to give my buddies hell. I mean,
I don't
that's
think I just want to interject. A lot of people, I don't think they don't understand. Uh, a lot of people are new. They come into that world every day of the week, and they don't realize we've been around 13, 15, 20 years. We've known the old school crew. We know the people that are here now. We see the people coming in, and I think a lot of people just want to honestly try to fit in somewhere, and
oh,
yep.
you said it right there.
and
Yeah, me
that
and
is
Mike. Yeah.
I have to stick my 2 cents in on this. Daniel and I have talked about this, and a good amount. Okay, so there's a percentage. I had to change that 3 times. There's a percentage of people out there that come into the Bigfoot community, come into the Bigfoot world. I ain't gonna say the community because community is pretty tight knit, but the Bigfoot world, they come in here and they say, "Oh, I went to a Bigfoot conference. I was treated the best that I've ever been treated." So they find some kind of tribe, and then 2 days later, they are experts on the subject because they
that's
get
funny.
they get 100 likes on a post
Yeah,
they make, and it's the first time in their whole existence that they've ever been recognized for something, and
they
they
feel
use it.
special.
They feel special. They were probably picked on as children, bullied in high school, bullied through adult life, and they say, okay, this is where I can be to not get that. And I've got bad news for them. You're going to get picked on and bullied in this more than you will anywhere.
Yeah,
Comes with the
Anywhere.
territory. I've had to learn it myself,
You have to have the thickest rhino like skin to be a Bigfoot researcher. You have to. Daniel, you remember it was the year that you held the conference in the Best Western.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I was up there, and the whole time I think Zach was up there. This guy gave him shit. We had a heckler. You remember the guy?
Uh, I can't really remember. I thought I remembered something about that, but I can't say for sure. I don't know if
He
I was
was
around
he
or
was
present
sitting
when it was.
like I remember this guy so well because he's came to every single event you've held since. And
Because
in June,
the North
and
Carolina Squatch Watchers were there too.
yes, and this guy kept on trying to get a rise out of every single person that was up there speaking.
Yeah.
And he decided he was going to try to get me. And guys, you both know me. Daniel, you've known me for a long time. Ryan, we've never met, but you've known me for a long time.
Oh, facts.
I'm not the person you try to heckle because I will bring you up in the spotlight
Oh, I'll do the same thing.
and I will make you regret everything you said in the nicest, funniest way possible. But I brung this guy up and I was like, all right, dude, you're going to be my helper for this presentation. And I made him eat every single slice of crow that he tried to pick out. But I digress. The Bigfoot community is not, if you're looking for acceptance and somewhere that you won't be made fun of and ridiculed, the Bigfoot community is not the place you need to be.
Not to mention,
And
there's bullies within itself. The entertainers start bullying the researchers, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's happening.
I mean,
well,
the problem is you've got so much. I mean, you've got like, the lack of consensus. That there's nothing to build off of. That there's so much lack of evidence, and then with their ego, and like Mike was saying, they want to be recognized, and it's almost like you have a community tribalism people talk about. You know what I mean? Like it's the culture that I don't know what happens to people, but it's like dysmorphia, and they all click up, and people change up on you, and then they're nice to your face, and then behind your back they're saying something, and then God forbid the minute you make some money or do monetize something, because then you're a 100% hoaxer to the max, and it's just me myself. I'm glad I took a step back for a while. I still research. I still do a lot of things. I just don't share as much because now I can be opinionated, and as opinionated as I want to be. I don't let it revolve around me every day, and it's just it's easier for me to speak my true opinion. Like, hey, I don't care what you think, or to the next one, like you were saying earlier, people talk about Todd Standing. I wasn't there either. I don't know, and I hold that same stance as Michael. Like, could it be real? It could be. I wasn't there. I've made great friends, in this arena. Mike Ann is a good buddy of mine. Steve Calls, you guys. There's a few that I hold. It's more of a. It's not a standard, but it's a real friendship. It's like, hey, we can talk about things, and the rest of the community. It's it puts everything in a bad spotlight. So, for me, that's why I stepped away. There was so much ridicule going on, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. And then there was so much, how would you say it? Like the evidence, and the people that were saying things just like, I've experienced, I'll say this, I've experienced the full gamut of what people talk about in the woods. I've seen Sasquatch, I've seen lights, I've seen black masses, I've seen so many crazy things. I couldn't put it all together and say it has everything to do with Bigfoot, because I don't believe that. But when people start saying, Bigfoot's on my roof and it's 100% invisible, could they cloak? They I had an experience that I can't explain. I've had the same thing happen, where one vanishes, and it's just you don't know which way to go with that, because you can't collect any real evidence on that. So I just think that it's a mishmash of so many different things and so many different people going at each other that there's no real win for anybody. So when these people come in, they know this and they see that. So what they do is they thrive off of that. They're like, well, there's no real win, so I can just plant myself here and be a critic to this, and this, and team up with this person. And it just spirals out of control. And, it's sad because there are good people like you, me, him. I've met a lot of people. Can I say they're all hoaxers? No, I can't. I was called a hoaxer. I think Michael and Dan were at one time called that. Like,
Oh, more than once on my part. Yeah.
so it's like,
Just because you find an 8 foot tall man and get him to wear a Bigfoot costume and run after you doesn't mean you're a hoaxer. I tell you what, you're right, 100%. And that's just like somebody. This guy comes up to me. Well, he didn't come up to me. He sent me a message a few days ago, and he said, "Hey, man, he has a pretty hefty following on TikTok." And I mean I started to say a bad word. Pretty hefty effing following on TikTok. I'm like up in the millions following is what I'm talking about.
Wow.
And he is here in Kentucky. He's about 30 miles from where I live. And he does these funny little TikToks and all this stuff. But he sent me a message and he asked me if I would be interested, since I'm well known in the Bigfoot community, to be part of a quote unquote skit. He found a guy that would wear a Bigfoot costume. And all he wants to do is the skit would be like me and him sitting around a campfire, and all of a sudden Bigfoot comes running up and scares the piss out of us. And I'm like, I love where you're going with this. I really do. I think it'll be hilarious. And I will love that video on TikTok. However, I cannot do anything like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Reputation.
even it's the reputation thing. Even if it is
Yeah.
marketed 100% as this is just for fun, entertainment purposes, to get likes and blarty, 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 I can't do it because I will never be able to show my face, because all it's going to take is a few hundred people to say, "Oh, Mike Cook's out here doing this video on TikTok. Have you seen that hoaxing video he done?"
few
Yeah.
hundred.
Exactly.
All it takes is one, and then they put it
Yeah,
on a
Yeah.
storyline, and it's everywhere.
They
and they
twist
take
everything
it
out of proportion. Yeah.
they take it completely out of context,
Exactly.
and I'll tell you a good out of context thing. I've done a podcast a few years ago, and they took what I said complete. I almost had to get like court ordered removal of this. By the way, they asked me what my opinion was on the Patterson Gimlin film, and I said, in my opinion, I think that I think it was real. Um, However, the people that say it would be impossible to fake, I have to correct you. Nothing is impossible. Now, I've stood right on the bank where Roger and Bob stood.
Yeah,
Logistically speaking, in
look,
1967, it would be a
it,
nightmare
it looks
to
way
try.
different though.
It looks a whole
Well,
lot different.
yeah, everything's more grown in now, and the foliage
Yeah,
is
there was a
up.
flood the year before, and it wiped out everything down through there. So,
Yeah, it looked like a open area with a lot of wash up
um,
debris that's left behind from the river.
but Jeff Ellis and I, God rest his soul, love Jeff to death. He was one of my dear friends. He and I said the same thing. Logistically, it would be a nightmare, not impossible. But if you and they took that out of context and said they played the clip where I said, "Oh logistically speaking, it's not impossible for it to be faked," and
Yeah,
that's all he
anyway, you
said.
said.
Yeah, that ain't what I
Right.
said.
It's almost like you're not entitled to your opinion, and
No,
then they start to hold you to a different standard, and that's why when I just backed away, and I feel more now that, like, hey, I can say what I want because it just it doesn't reflect on me like it used to, and I feel bad actually for people that have to hold their tongue, like, more or less you guys, you do, you are more of an online presence, like I am in the hunting industry, so I have to hold my tongue there. It's different. um
that's
but like
another thing. You want to get ridiculed? Be a hunter.
you're
That's
not
all you have
lying.
to do. Go out and kill a squirrel. That's all you have to do.
Right.
Because you're going to have hundreds and thousands of people come at you. You're a murderer. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned squirrel because I actually just learned that we have flying squirrels in New York. There's two types, and that was a couple of months ago, and that's odd that you say that, but
We have flying squirrels here too. I seen one fly out of a tree right into the grill of my pickup truck the other day.
really,
Yeah.
And then it
Wow.
flew
Yeah.
across the road
see,
Yeah. I seen
in
one in my
pieces.
research area some years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
well, I'm glad he brought that up really quick because so I started doing some research. I'm still active. I'm quiet, I'm just active. I'm actively collecting samples. I work with a buddy of mine, Mike Ann, and I buddies with Steve Calls, so we talk. But I started getting phone calls from upstate New York, even farther up near toward Addison, out that direction. And these people said, "Hey, we have them living on our property." So we started to do some research, and they sent us some samples. And what I've been doing is, Mike Ann actually gave me some ideas on using UV light with hair and stuff. I could actually probably share it on here with you guys. Some of the. Let me just really do this really quick if I can. Share screen.
Yeah. Once you do a share screen, I'll go ahead and pull it up.
How do I do that?
Well, you should be able to share screen on. It's been a while since I've done it, so I don't want to.
Yeah, it'll just tell me. Let me see that one.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself while you all figure this out. You tech
I
geniuses.
got it. Can
I'm
you see
gonna go
that?
pee. Everybody on the chat, everybody listening, I've got to go pee. So
Okay, no problem.
I will be right back. Don't talk about me because I will listen.
Oh, it's recorded anyway, so you'll be able to play it back later.
Pee time.
Oh boy.
So no, I'm not seeing nothing right now, Ryan. If you pull it, you should be able to pull it up like on your screen, and once you do, I'll do a solo screen where I can enlarge it on my end. But
Well, on this one it says stop. It said I clicked the present button, but
yeah, like I said,
yeah.
if
Let me try
Nikki
it one
was
more
here,
time.
if Nikki Cologne was here, she could grab. She does it all the time on her podcast.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't done it in so long. I don't remember how to do it on here. So
it says I'm sharing it, but I don't know if you can see anything. So
I wonder if it's because you have your camera. I don't know if that's a reason or not. It should be able to show up regardless if you have your camera on or not.
yeah. Well, maybe I can.
Because I'm looking under other things here and I'm not seeing it nowhere. So
This is StreamYard is sharing your the stream. Normally, it would pop up and I could see it.
right. Huh.
What I wanted to share is some of the hair samples. And I was gonna try to show you. Anyway, there's some. He's back! Yay! Anyway, it would have been nice to share that, but there's some hair samples that we took, and they're intriguing. Some of them are clear straight through, and then when we subjected them to UV light under the microscope, they were either in not every circumstance, but some were glowing a pink color and some were glowing a green color. So then we did more research and I started looking into things like why would these hairs be glowing, and it's due to certain chemicals. There are certain animals like a flying squirrel. That's why I referenced that together. They will glow pink. Their hair can glow pink, and like a platypus, which we don't really have down where I'm at, would be, glowing green. But I have these samples that we actually sent in, and they're part of the study in North Carolina with Darby, because some of these samples, I really wish I could have shared them because you'd get the gist of what they actually, the glowing. from these samples. But yeah, that's why I brought up the flying squirrel, because in the research, we're starting to learn different things, and we're trying to use different tools and techniques. There's a lot more with that UV thing that other people are doing, but I can't mention it right now. And there's no concrete evidence that could say, hey, this is possibly a Bigfoot, that, because the hair is glowing. But I've tested a number of animals myself, from deer to this to that, and I couldn't replicate the glowing green or the glowing pink colors under a UV light microscope. But I did get
Well,
the pictures of these, and it was interesting, So
you sent me those samples at one point. You emailed them to me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, because I was
the
trying to get a few people's opinions on like what this could be, and
right, and
like I said, yeah,
Darby is, man. I tell you what, I've met some people. I've met some smart people in my life, intelligent people. I tell people all the time, I'm an intelligent person. I'm just stupid. Um, but Darby is smart and intelligent. And
Yeah, he is.
Darby, if you all remember back in 2019, he and I and Glenn Mink found that trackway here in Kentucky.
I do remember that.
And yeah, and Darby was like, dude, and he even went on the record to say it was impossible for us to even try to set that up. Because he was like, y'all couldn't have set this up if you wanted to. Because when we found that trackway, we found 28 footprints within a 200-yard stretch. That's pretty wild, because that was first footprint to last footprint, and they were at a run, that 7 foot stride, which I thought was unbelievable. And then I measured my own stride at a run. I'm 5'8". At a run, I've got like a 4.5 to 5 foot stride at a dead run. Um, but I don't run, so there's that. Um, but no, Darby's on the forefront of this, the scientific part of everything.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
he's
think
been involved
when
for quite some time.
he was
and
definitely
I
great
think
to us. We did do some donating to his program, which I hope it helped him. And I seen where his vision was with this. And the thing with their vision is it's not just to hold this one study type of thing. They really want to. There's a donation link. There's a bunch of things that you can get involved with. If they can get the proper funding, this is something they want to do long term. And it's not just Bigfoot. It's there's things they're willing to test things and go above and beyond what people are. There's your chupacabras, there's this, there's that, there's all the aliens, there's all kinds of stuff out there that they would actually be willing to look at because it benefits them scientifically, where they can at
yeah,
least say, nope, that's not that, nope, that's not that. But then if they do find something, it's, hey, there's something here. And me and Darby, we got pretty close. We talk every now and then, and he's a great guy, like you said. And
Darby's just fantastic. He, I think I fully believe this. Jeff Meldrum is, Jeff is at the top of the game. When you mention Bigfoot, that's the guy people, even that's not in the Bigfoot community. Well, that Meldrum guy, you
yeah,
know, Dr. Jeff is a good guy too. He intimidates the piss out of me. Daniel can tell you, last year at the West Virginia Bigfoot Festival, I spoke after Jeff. And I was like, okay, he's going to be at his table. No big deal. And I'll be damned if I didn't get up there and start speaking. And I looked toward the door, and there Jeff Meldrum was standing there slurping on a Slurpee. And I'm like, oh no, that's
Oh
not
Lord.
going, this is not going to be good. And he came up to me afterwards and he was like, I like your presentation. I'm like, thank you. He goes, our views don't align. And I'm like, no. That's why we never talk about that. We've known each other for a long time. Not one time have we ever talked about Bigfoot because I can't hold a candle to him. And
Well,
we
you have
talk
to
about
look.
baseball.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He is knowledgeable because that's his biological field,
Right.
and he's more into the footprints and things like that, anatomy, and yeah, you couldn't hold a flame to him because he has that training in that aspect which he's applying to the field. So,
Yeah.
are there others that can do that? Yeah. Will they? Probably not because they don't want the ridicule. But I think he's, with his 10 years, he's been there for so long in Idaho that this is what he does. This is what he likes to do, and this is part of his. He kind of maneuvered properly to where he kept it anatomically correct in what he was searching for, and anatomy for the university to continue the funding. At the same time, branching into Bigfoot, saying it is a possibility based on the proportions of the foot, but then he was backdated by the Penn State when he came out with the arch or whatever, the mid-tarsal break.
Which he
Penn,
later on corrected that instead of calling it mid-tarsal break, he refers to it now as a flexation.
right. So then Penn State rebutted him, and it's like that was actually good that we had two universities rebutting each other because then there's something there.
Well,
That's how I looked at it.
just 2 years ago, we had um, the historical congressional hearing on UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them now. I think they're calling them
Yeah, they
something
call them
else.
UAPs now. It's what they prefer.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of time, guys, until, Congress calls up and you know, uh, I'd love to sit here and,
They've already held stuff in Congress. The militaries came out. They're doing a lot of research. I mean, you'd have to think if you put just Bigfoot aside and you look up in that solar system
oh
in
my
that
God,
sky and you see what's out there, and if you think to yourself that we're alone, there's got to be something wrong with you
got to
because
be.
you know
The two scariest statements in history, and somebody in the chat correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm watching the chat too because I got ADHD and I'm off my meds now. So I have to. I really do. Like Daniel knows enough that when I'm not taking my meds, I get really itchy. So I have to sit and
Squirrel.
constantly. Yeah, it's bad. So the two scariest statements that are towards the same thing. I think Carl Sagan said this
Mhm.
is we're either not alone in the universe or we are alone in the universe.
Yep.
That's the two most scariest statements. And just like Ryan said, lay in the back of your pickup or on the hood of your car one night in a dark, dark spot away from rapists and serial killers and
And watch the
clowns.
sky.
Watch the sky.
Yeah.
Yep,
For
I've done
every
that.
star, for every star you see, that is a star just like our sun. Okay? So think of our sun. It has nine. Well, what is it? It's eight. We have nine planets. We're all the same. We're all the same age group here. We have nine planets. We learned about Pluto
Right.
back in first grade. So Pluto. I got your back. Um, but we have nine planets.
Uranus.
Uranus. Uh, we we have nine planets circling this star. Think of all the other planets circling every star you see out there and say that we're alone.
Yeah,
And,
that's definitely, you would be thinking so obtusely that you can't even. I don't know. I mean, I've had encounters my whole life, and like I told you, it runs the whole gamut. And I actually wish that I never would have had these encounters, because let me just run through it. Since I was a kid, I was tormented as a child by what you would call EBs, these extra biological entities in my fucking closet. Excuse my French. And they would scare me night after night after night after night after night. And I would tell my parents, and I could see their eyes, and I seen what they looked like, and I just, they weren't ghosts. This is what they were. And until my mother actually started sleeping in my room, and I went and slept with my father actually, and then she started having encounters. And I was tormented, and I think that set the stage for the rest of my life in a way. I don't know why or how, but I've been visited. That's what you call it, I guess. There's been multiple occasions over my life. There's namely 3 strong ones that I can tell you the whole story. I wrote in one of my books about it, but these 3 encounters changed my life to where I don't know if it propelled me to look into Bigfooting or what the situation was, but when I had the encounter with my first Sasquatch metal detecting, it exacerbated everything, because I started being more open to everything. And once you start doing that, like with your conscience and just being open to the fact that there's other things out there, it's almost like you let it in. And I regret doing that, because not all the encounters were bad at all. I could get into a bunch of them, and and I've had 7 encounters with Sasquatch since 2012, namely none recent, but the last one was like 2017.
Ryan, I wanna stop you right there and ask you this. I'm in interview mode now. Do you think, you said since you were a child, do you think anything like that has to do with the calcification of your pituitary gland? Like, is that your third eye? Like, okay, here's where I stand on this. I think children, babies and children, are capable of seeing through the veil, if you will. And as we grow older and our pituitary gland calcifies, it closes that third eye, and we are, well, your imaginary friend.
Well,
Uh,
that's the thing right there. It's your innocence, because
mhm.
you don't know that that's not real.
Okay, so
Once you're
innocently,
older, you would say, "Oh, that's not real." As a kid, you're like, "That's what I see."
innocently, we're going into a Christopher Noel conversation now that has to do with Sasquatch. Do
Autistic. I
you
know he
do
talks a
you
lot about autistic
believe?
stuff too. So.
Yes. Do you all believe that these creatures may be sort of, kind of on the spectrum in a way where they are innocent in their actions and they have that ability to see, do, and people ask me if if they're supernatural and all this, and I say this. Okay, here's where I stand with Bigfoot. I believe 100% they are flesh and blood creatures. They are born, they live, they die. But I also believe that they are endowed with certain abilities that enable them to do things that we cannot and will not ever be able to explain. Now, 20 years ago, if you would have said, "Do you believe these things could open up portals and walk through dimensions?" I went, "Get out. Leave me alone. I don't know what you're talking about."
Right.
Today, I can
You
tell
have to
you
be.
100% these things can do things that I sure as shit can't explain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe we have the technology, even going back to the military thing. There's word. Now, when I say I hear stuff, okay, full disclosure, I listen to Joe Rogan every single day of my life, and he has some pretty fascinating interviews. And I hear stuff on there, and I hear stuff from like David Fravor and people like that who were in the congressional hearings that say, "Oh, we've released the videos that we want to release to you all, but we won't release the videos to the public, but not because we're afraid you all will freak out to see what we have seen, but we don't want you to know what we're capable of doing. Our surveillance technology. Guys, check this shit out. Go on Fox News, Facebook, and CNN and everything else. I put CNN in there to make it non-biased. It's just not a Fox News thing. The police used thermal imaging to find a 2-year-old baby yesterday that went missing. Found it after 2 hours of being missing. They put a drone up in the air, went out in the woods. There the 2-year-old is, alive and well. Baby. So people are starting to kind of catch on. But going back to the whole autistic thing, and okay, I'm neurodivergent, so I just found that out a few years ago. Everybody says, "Oh, you didn't know that?" Well, maybe, who knows? But I believe that we're endowed with these abilities. I think certain people learn how to use them a little bit better, i.e., psychic mediums, and so. Uh, um, Catherine Kaufman, Kat Kaufman, up in Lexington, Kentucky. She's a psychic medium. One of my dearest friends. She's my fairy godmother. Um, her and her husband David. But Catherine told me when I interviewed her several years ago. After the interview, this was not on recording, by the way. I said, Catherine, Kat. So while we've been sitting here, just shits and giggles, has anybody been hanging around me? Do I have a spirit guy? She goes, your grandpa's here. And I was like, okay, that's something that, okay, John Edwards crossing over kind of stuff. What's he wearing? She said a flannel shirt and a pair of glasses. And I was like, huh. Then she tells me something that I didn't know, that I knew, but I didn't know nobody else knew, by the way. She tells me that there are 3 soldiers standing over me at all times. They looked to be like Civil War soldiers. One had a beard, 2 clean cut. And I said, okay, here's where it gets spooky. Ever since I can remember, my first memories of dreams, I had this reoccurring dream of me standing in a field, and I turn and look at these 3 guys, and I feel something sharp, a sharp pain in my chest, and I wake up. Apparently, that was my past life as a Civil War soldier. I got shot and killed, and those were my buddies. And they're just waiting on me to finish dicking around in these afterlives and these extra lives, and then I can go back and hang out with them. But Bigfoot and autistic children, I'm so fascinated with people on the spectrum. They're doing studies now where nonverbal autistic children are able to telecommunicate. They can write down the color you're looking at in a different room. Is that not wild?
Yeah.
I don't believe the Sasquatch are autistic.
That's it, Ryan. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm unfriending you right now.
No, I'm just saying we as
How
people
dare you?
like
How dare you disagree with me?
we like to name things. We like to put things in boxes. We like to call it autism. We like to do this. Maybe it's just an ability that they have. Maybe imagine if you had your childhood abilities your whole life. You see what I'm saying? And
Dan has them. So Dan, what's it like?
Wait, what now?
I'm just saying, like, we lose our innocence, we lose our, ability to be a kid.
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
know,
not innocent.
if we had that ability, would things be different? Could we still see things? Yeah, I was tormented my whole life. I've had these encounters that stretch way back, and then when I got into Bigfooting, it wasn't because I wanted to, it was because I was detecting and seeing my first one, and I was intrigued, and it pulled me in. And ultimately I had a few people pass away in my research team, and I had my dad passed, and so it was just too much to keep going. But in like 2018 is I think it was 2018, 2017, 2018 was kind of a year where I stepped back for like 3.5 years almost. I had a bad thing happen.
You all know me. About every 5 years, I'll take about a year off.
Yeah.
I can't live eat. That's what I was telling somebody the other day. I said, you got to take a break. You have to take a break. You can't eat, live, sleep, shit, Bigfoot all the time. You can't do it.
Well, I was at a conference upstate New York with Steve Culls and a couple other people, and I had something traumatizing actually happen to me, where I was actually attacked by something in my room, and that changed my life exponentially. Um, and it affects me to this day, and it's I don't even like talking about it. I did a few interviews and shared some of the stories with what actually went down, and how Steve actually helped me the following day, and some prayers and a bunch of
Oh,
things that happened
Steve,
at the huh.
Steve is such a dude, man. I mean, I hung out with Steve at Hockin Hills a couple years
Yeah,
ago, and you know, that's something I was going to say. I'm officially I think it's 8 months now. I haven't been going to recovery or anything because it is what it is. But I'm 8 months sober, no alcohol. So,
good for
but
you.
I was at a bar in Logan, Ohio. Me and Steve, and I was sitting there drinking, and we had a heart to heart and talked about a lot of similarities we have and stuff. But he gave me something that I carry with me now everywhere I go. And it's something simple. It's nothing special to anybody but me. It's just a coin. And Steve's a dude, man. I mean, he's a good dude. He's cool. And
Yeah,
I
I didn't know he was actually like an ordained minister at the
yeah.
time. Like, I'm glad he was, and I'm glad they had the things in the car that they did have in the car, because I'll just give you a brief rundown. After this thing attacked me that night, I was sick, and I went to the conference in the morning, and we all met on the deck, and there was maybe 50 people, and I said, I got to talk to you. And he's like, what? And I was serious, like, because I needed to tell him what transpired. So I told him, and I remember him saying, will you pray with me? Well, I'm a Catholic person, I'm all about God. Well, they all said that I told him no. I blacked out. I don't know what happened. Next thing I know, they were, I guess, praying and using some holy water and doing some things. I remember coming to it, walking all the way down the deck, maybe 50 feet, to off the deck around the cabin area. And I remember holding the side of the cabin, and I was vomiting. And the next thing I remember, they came over, and when I came to, he had frankincense lit, and he stuck it in my nose. And I don't know if I threw up or what, but I came to it, and he was holding me against the side of the complex building there. And there was like 5 or 7 people standing there looking at me, and I broke down. I started crying. Like, I think he helped get out whatever was in me, because I could go into depth some other time about what I can tell you what it looked like, and being attacked, and I don't like talking about it because I don't like saying the D word. And at the end of the day,
Daniel.
yeah, Daniel. Yeah, we'll call it Daniel. Um, but this thing had horns, and it was actually the weird part about this is I feel like it was trying to take my life, and I wasn't able to move when it was on top of me, and I turned my head to the side, and the only thing I could think in my head is Jesus help me. I said, God help me. When I said that, it stopped what it was doing. It was trying to. You ever seen the movies where they say they suck at your face or your breath and there's like a mist or whatever? Well, that shit is 100% real. So there was a white vapor that was like either going into me or coming out of me as it was attempting to do whatever it was doing until I couldn't move. And if I knew if I would have let it keep going, I don't know what would have happened, but God intervened. It got off of me. I was still frozen in the bed. It walked across the cabin room and disappeared into the closet, and it was gone. Then I was able to get up, but my friends came running because they heard me screaming at the time, and it was just a really unreal thing. But he was able to, with his prayers and whatever, help me out. And it still bothered me. I've been the priest in church, and the thing still lurks around, but I don't give it credence. I know things will happen, and I'm like, okay, you're just letting me know that you're still out there, and it was really rough on me. It affected my life tremendously. And the crazy part about it is that same night, a friend of mine, like 80 miles away, died. She was in a hotel room in a party and died of asphyxiation. And she was my neighbor my whole life. So I don't know if things like that are related. It was really odd. It wasn't, but it changed my life. So like getting out of the heavy stuff, getting back to the whole gamut, like I've seen it all. And that's one of the things that like, I don't care. I'll share the things that have happened because it's not opinion, because I know what's happened. Right. There's been people that have seen it. There's people that have been with me, experienced it, whatever it is, So I just think that being able to share your opinion in 2025 is one of the most important things that anybody can do. And don't let other people hold you back. Like when Daniel speaks or says something, he gets fluff and you get shade thrown on you for saying things. And, I don't think it's right. I think people just need to say, hey, it is possible. These things are possible. And the sad part is until they actually experience these things, they, they're just going to stay on the other side of the fence. Oh, and say it's BS. You know what I mean? So,
well, I know there's the most important takeaway is God is real.
100%. Say it for the people in the back.
And the people that don't believe, how do you get through your day? I mean, I don't know. I probably say it without knowing I'm saying it, but I say it on a daily basis. God help me. And, I don't talk about what I do for a living for a reason, because I don't like people coming at me. But
I mean, you can't tell them about that gay community that you run, and I get it.
Exactly. And the dildo factory that I manage. I mean, I can't do it.
I mean, I know you told me you
Dan,
just became the CEO of your company, so I didn't know what you
yeah,
did.
and
But okay.
I forgot to tell you, Dan. I might as well tell you on live YouTube now. You are this year's #1 customer again.
Oh, well,
Already. Already. Congratulations, my friend.
hey, you got my lube in stock.
Yeah, and the 14-inch black one with polka dots on it. I don't know what that's all about, but oh well.
You guys are
Dude,
You
nuts.
do you,
I
boo
want
boo.
I want the 14-inch one with a fist.
Yeah, we make those too. But no, I keep it took
Oh
me a
shit.
long time to figure out how to keep my personal business and Bigfoot life's all separate, but I do,
It's hard,
and it's
but you
very
know what?
hard.
You shouldn't have to. That's the thing.
No,
That's what I mean by the ridicule. Like,
with my career, Dan knows what I do, and with my career,
yeah,
I encounter people every single day of my life, and for the most part, it's just hit and miss, and then every now and then you'll come in contact with somebody. They'll be like, "Oh, wait a minute, I know you," and you'll be like, "No, you don't."
right.
You want to bet?
Yeah.
um, But the thing about it is, though, is like I said, folks, listen to what Ryan said. Listen to what I'm saying. If you don't take anything else away from this interview, this show, God is real. God loves you, and He wants the very best for you. Even if you don't think it's the best for you, He wants the best for you, and you better go with what you feel instead of what you want, because that's two different things. And that goes into the Bigfoot community. Ryan, you said something, you said that you wished some of this would have never happened. And I've been there. I've said the same thing. And there's days when I really, really wish that I had went to school that day and not went fishing. But it it brought you all into my life. It brought people. I mean, you look, okay, there's three cooks in the Bigfoot community and in this weird world that we live in.
Hmm.
And people are like, that's kind of weird that there's Michael Cook and Taylor Cook and Jody Cook. Well, you want to know what's weirder? We're all kin. We're all related. Every single one of us.
Hmm.
Taylor and I are closer related than Jody and I. Taylor's people come from Jonesville, Virginia. Where do my people come from? Originally, Jonesville, Virginia, over in Ewing and Jonesville. Jody's comes from around the Corbin area. Jody's a dogman researcher, if not the dogman researcher. He's the dogman researcher. Um, but in any other setting, hang on just a minute. I got to mute. So when I cough, I can feel brain matter come out of my concussion.
That's terrible.
It's pretty rough, to be honest with you, and I'm not looking for sympathy by any means, but it's it's something. Um, any other setting, we would have never met.
True.
We would have never had any of these experiences. And I sound like I'm getting choked up, and I'm not. But I thank God every day that I've had these wild experiences. I know people in my personal life that have never stepped foot off a sidewalk, let alone into the woods. And we don't have to do this, people. We get to do this. This is a gift.
Yeah,
And
to me, it's become a passion for me, to be honest with you.
I think it's become an obsession for you, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Oh, perhaps it probably is, but
You
Well,
gotta
I
get
mean,
you gotta get the T-shirt. It's an obsession. I was obsessed years ago, and then things happened to me. But Daniel's definitely for sure.
well, I've
I'm
got
even wearing a
For
Bigfoot
God's
shirt.
sakes, I've got Bigfoot tattooed on my leg, y'all.
I got one on my arm. There you
I
go.
mean, I got
Bigfoot, king of the
I
cryptids,
got
right there.
I got the Mothman on me. I mean, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we in the Bigfoot community, and I'll say this, and this is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to circle back around to it. I'm not going to camp out on this hill. We in the Bigfoot community have to stick together, no matter what our differences are, because it is literally the world against us. We are the people. Okay, you have the scientists out there that are doing the DNA studies. They're doing the eDNA. They're doing the mRNA studies. How they get that evidence from people like us? But we have to stick together. We have to look aside our differences. We have to put aside petty drama. We have to put aside our differences, and we have to band together to make a community a community. No, everybody's not going to like each other. No, everybody's not going to get along. But we can be cordial. We can be nice. Do what your grandma told you. Be nice. If you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. And
I think I think that
quit,
was I think that was Thumper's mother who said that.
quit,
This guy.
quit. The people out there, and I've been guilty of it myself. Quit stirring shit just to stir shit. Because the more you stir shit, the more it stinks. Sooner or
Well,
later, the flies are going to get on your nerves. But
like I was
that's the
saying,
that's
I
the
just
thing.
think that's how they get their attention. That's how they get their. I don't know. I think the thing is, they, like you said, they want to be involved. Some of them can't get out there and research and share information, and so they just grasp at everything that they can. We used to call them the armchair research, whatever. But
Oh yeah. Well, they're important. The armchair researchers are just as important as the field researchers.
right, but at the
That's
end of
true
the
because
day,
I've actually learned a thing or two from armchair researchers. Some good friends of mine that can't get out in the field. They're stuck at home. They're
that's great.
disabled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't knock them, but at the end of the day, they are not the ones experiencing it firsthand. So when you're in the timber and you experience something and you've seen and was able to correlate how the whole situation went down, I'm a person that breaks everything down. Why it happened, how it happened, when it happened, why the whole. And I'm starting to, and then I'm the one that actually, I'll tell you this, came up with the Bigfoot algorithm. I started talking about that before they started having it on TV for Expedition Bigfoot, because I shared it with Russell Accord, and I was telling him, look, this is what I'm seeing them, how I'm seeing them, this is how I'm breaking it down, this is what I'm doing, this is where the whole 9 yards. And then the next thing I knew, did the show steal my idea? I don't know. But nobody talked about any type of algorithm putting things together, how you can find them and be there ahead of time. So if they come through a travel corridor that you've already seen them in, the following year, you're already set up. And that's how that show was based. But I don't know if armchair researchers are able to, we can do both. You see what I'm saying? We're able to get on the computer, luckily, like you said,
Yeah.
we're blessed, and we're able to get in the woods. So when you can do both of them, and then you start, like me, I used to sprout off at the mouth and say, hey, this is what I experienced, this is how it went down, and this is what I believe based on the situation. And people didn't like that. They didn't want to hear that. So I think it was too hard for them to digest. Like, where's this guy coming up with this shit? Where's this guy? How did he figure? How's he do? Well, it's because I was correlating the data. I was writing the data down like I do for deer hunting. Where are they going? Where are they coming from? What are they eating? How are they walking? Where are we following them? 16 miles in a circle, patterning it, making maps. It was bananas. I got so overly obsessed chasing these things. I almost lost like everything in my life, including
Yeah.
my girl and everything. I wasn't even home. I was sleeping in the timber. I was out there. I didn't come home for like a week one time, just chasing these things down, and got them on video and got some things. And once you start doing that, it's like you learn about your subject that you're chasing, and you become that detective, and you have some of the answers. Because then, like I said, I sprouted off at the mouth and was saying things like, and people are like, what are you even talking about? Like, no way, that's not it. And then years later, they start talking about it. Like, like I had an encounter where I was hunting and I seen one. I heard the wood knocks. I knew what the noise was. I heard one down the valley on the other side, and I said, there's two of them. I was in a stand. Off to my left, there was this big oak tree, and I seen it coming, and I couldn't tell what it was, and I actually thought about shooting it at the time, but it walked out in front of me. It was maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 yards, and it picked up a log, and it was fumbling around trying to grab something under the log. As it grabbed the thing under the log, it turned around and it started walking right back toward me. I thought I was going to come back toward the stand where I was in the pine, but it didn't. So I had my bow. I was shaking like a leaf because I didn't even know what to do at the time. And it veered off and it turned back and it went right back behind that same oak tree that it did. But the crazy part about that, you ever seen a big oak tree is where you got 2 or 3 people trying to get their arms around it, a big one like that.
Oh, yeah.
Ancient,
I've seen them. Pennsylvania's got big ones like that. Yeah, massive.
Yeah, so New York's got a couple too. But as it walked behind that, I seen this flash of light, this flash of it was like a blue light, like a bluish purple. I want to say it kind of just went like a camera, and I was like, "What was that?" And I was so fixated on the tree, I was just like looking, and I never seen its leg come out from behind it. I never seen anything. I never heard it walking after that. I didn't hear a sound. And I was scared. It was end of the day. It's dark. It's getting dark. You know what I mean? You don't know what to do. I actually left everything in the tree stand. I got down and I ran out of the woods and I ran to my truck. But did it disappear? I don't know. All I seen was the light and it was gone. And so people compile all these things and they talk about it, and I think that's where the diversity comes from, because some people don't talk about it. Like Mike said, he would never talk about that stuff years ago, and then now he's more open to it because he's experienced some of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Daniel. Daniel and I, we had experiences together, and
right here in Virginia,
and in South Carolina.
Yes, that's true. Right up where we,
yeah, we heard the screams and the howls and stuff that night, and there's a lot of spooky stuff out there we will not ever be able to explain. And the blue light, I circle around to that blue light all the time that Glenn Mink and I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would have told me that 10 minutes prior to that and said, hey, I seen a blue light in the woods one time, I'd have been like, okay there, buddy. But 10 minutes later, I experienced it and I was like, okay, buddy, that's there. And I'm experiencing it with somebody else.
Right.
And I think, I don't know. That's the thing. People, you're talking about spending so much time in the woods. I've done that. And I think one of the funniest things I've ever said to anybody was last year at a conference. They said, "You, you all spend all this time in the woods and sleep in tents and on the ground and all that." And I'm like, "Dude, no, I sleep in a bed every night. I haven't been camping in a long time. I prefer to. I got a bad hip.
Right.
I prefer to sleep in a bed anymore." Daniel,
you come up to Virginia in May. Come camp with us. I'll hook you up with a nice, comfortable cot. I got some good cots.
Fuck off. Okay. From the bottom of my heart, fuck off.
Come on, we'll have a kumbaya moment.
Better bring an air mattress.
I'll come out. I'll sit around the campfire with you, but I'm going back to the Super 8 afterwards. I was in Salt Fork State Park the night that David Wickham got his tent pushed down by a Bigfoot. I'm good, thank you. You can mess with me all you want when I'm outside, but don't come messing with me when I'm trying to get my.
We had some crazy things happen, man. We we were chasing them down day and night. Like we had packs, and there was like a 16-mile circle that they made. We didn't leave their track. We went through state land, private. I mean, we shouldn't have, but went through private property. We were sleeping in the woods, and we had some crazy
Incriminating.
things. Huh?
Incriminating.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what
So,
you're talking about either. What are you
um,
talking about, Dad? What are you talking about, Ryan?
so
I
we
wasn't there.
we we were having crazy things happen. Like you know how like you seen like the Blair Witch, and then you hear little kids at night.
Oh, dude,
Dude,
don't
it
tell me
was
that.
it was horrible. Some of the nights were, we did pack our shotguns. We did have, we there was two of us that
Dude,
had shotguns with us, but it was there were sounds, there were things that were happening that I don't know if it was them. I don't know. I can't differentiate, but there were
man,
you could hear the kid sounds talking. There was a
down here where I research at, there's a spot, and I talk about it during my presentations that I don't go to anymore, and it ain't because I'm a puss or anything. No, real okay, yeah, I am a puss. Because the same thing happened to me. Like one night, I went
yeah.
out checking trail cams, and I wasn't paying attention. The Bigfoot out there are kind of finicky at best. Like they don't want me there, but they don't make it known that they don't want me there. They just don't interact with me as much. They're like, "Oh, this idiot's here, so here, knock on a tree or do a whoop and let him know we're here." And then that's it. But that night, I went out and checked my trail cams, and I was walking back, and I heard something go, "Help me!" And it sounded like a child.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so convinced that it was a child. I was like, "Where are you?" And I was taking my flashlight, looking around, and then it said, "Come here, help me." And it laughed. And when it laughed, ooh, I got chill bumps right now.
Yeah.
When it laughed,
If you turn
I
around and saw a clown, I would have been running for the hills.
son, let me tell you something. Whenever it laughed, I started walking a little bit faster. I know better than to try to outrun anything, but I got to my pickup. My window was up, okay, and right in my ear, inside the truck, went, "Where you going?" And
Hmm.
I floored it. I got the hell out of there, and I haven't been back. I will not go to that section in there in my research area, period, because of
Sounds
that.
like those woods are haunted right there.
Well,
Those would, I see what you done there. I see what you done.
Why? Well, these woods are haunted. There you go.
Ah.
Episode 2.
Episode 6, season 2, you
Yeah, there
dumbass.
you go.
God, that was
God,
so long ago.
it was. Um, I was thinking, Gwen Guthrie and I were talking about that not long ago, and I said, "Can you believe that October 6th of this year will make 7 years since that incident happened?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it happened yesterday. But
So let me ask you this. Let me just interject real quick. So, have you ever thought, how we think about things and they say your nightmares come true and
oh,
telekinesis and all
the
that stuff?
physical, the physical manifestation of cognitive thought.
Yep. And I'm starting to be a believer that that is something that is possible because,
Well, I'll tell you a funny little quib is a few years ago, nobody 10 years ago, you would have mentioned the Slender Man to somebody and they'd have been like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." But today, there have been actual lie detector testimonies that say they've seen something that looks like the Slender Man. And it comes from the physical manifestation of cognitive thought. And what happens is you manifest that somehow, some way, and it enters our reality. This
well,
craziness. Like,
when we're out there looking for Bigfoot, right? So here's the thing. I started noticing across the Bigfoot world, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people were starting to see the orbs and the lights and the negative things were starting to happen to them. And
mhm.
it was almost like we were out there projecting ourselves. We're looking for Bigfoot. This is what we're doing. it was almost like, you know how they say like the devil is like trickery, right?
Yep.
So it's almost like I'm wondering if some of us were being tricked, like you had that thing laugh at you and whatever. Like, could they be manipulating us because they know what we're looking for, and then that's how, you know, we're seeking things, we're doing things. The minute you start to seek things, could they manipulate that and then affect you as a person, affect you as research, affect your relationship, and maybe it's something totally different in the veil that you talked about, and it really doesn't have anything to do with Bigfooting, and it's just
Well, if you go back into like Scottish, Celtic lore, I won't say history, I'll say lore because I don't know. But Jamie and Jenny King are really good at this stuff. The Celtic believed that fairies. I cannot. If you would have asked me this morning if I'd have been talking about fairies on a podcast tonight, I would have told you you're crazy. But
things come up, man.
things come up. So fairies, not like Tinkerbell fairies, but I'm talking like the creepy demonic fairies that the Celtic believed in. They're tricksters, leprechauns, and stuff like that. Apparently, people believe full heartedly that these things are fully real, and I have a difficult time with it. But you know, I'm not. I have to be open minded. But fairies will play tricks on you like that. I had some people come up to me at a few events over the years, and they described something a Bigfoot was doing, and I'm like, "Are you 100% sure this was a Bigfoot?"
Right.
Because I don't. Not saying that you're lying. I'm just saying that I've never heard of a Bigfoot doing the actions you're telling me. And
I
oh,
wholeheartedly believe that, because it happened to me, that once you get into that obsession phase, and I don't like to mention names, but I'll say one. A buddy of mine, Colorado Bigfoot. I haven't talked to him in years. Um, he got really obsessed into things and started saying things and thinking things and seeing things that weren't there. And I think what happened or happens to these people is they get an attachment. Something from that spirit world attaches to them and allows them to see things or hear things that we don't.
yeah,
And they sound crazy when they're like, "Did you see that? Or can you hear this? Or look at that on camera?" And it's blah 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 blah. And I think these people end up with these attachments, and they don't understand what to do, or that they even have an attachment. They think it's real, and
yeah.
it's scary.
Well,
Yeah, over the years.
I had an
Oh no.
attachment. Um, I guess it was in 2016. Went out with Greg Yost in Indiana and came home with something that was with me, and I had to get it, in a lack of better words, exercised away from me. Um, and it was an uncomfortable little feeling that I had. I talk about it. I talk about it in the book. You read the book yet? I'll talk about it in the book. Dr. Phil here. Um, they I talk about it in the book. You read the book? Um, no, I don't talk about that in the book. I actually don't talk about any of that in the book. But the attachments are real. That's why every time I go in the woods and come out, I'm like, hey, and I say it out loud. Y'all can't come with me. You gotta stay here.
Yeah.
Nobody comes with me anymore.
I say the woods is our altered reality. We came out of the timber for a reason. I don't know what that was.
Uncanny Valley, brother.
You know.
Uncanny Valley. We seen something years ago in our evolution that freaked us out and made us kind of weary of the woods.
Had to.
So, it's 15 till 10, guys. I'm gonna go through here and I've got the chat or the comments pulled up. Here.
Hey, well, hey, while you're looking at that, I want to back up on something and ask you guys both a question. Because now, you guys both experienced blue lights in the woods.
Yes.
Let me start it off with you, Ryan. Your blue light, how would you describe it? Because there's a reason why I want to ask you guys this question, because based off of an experience I've had up in Pennsylvania about a year ago. But the blue light, how was it? Did you see like a big flash, or yeah, how would you describe it?
Yeah, it wasn't like an orb, right? So as the thing, so I was in the tree stand. It came from my left. It came down the ridge behind the um, oak tree, and it went to a log. And as it bent over, it was maybe like, I'm gonna guess like 7 foot. It wasn't like one of the biggest ones that I've ever seen. It picked up the log and it was digging under the log. It grabbed something. Don't know what it grabbed. I have no idea. Couldn't tell. Grabbed it, dropped the log back down. When I say log, I'm talking a 8 foot, half a tree. It turns around, it starts to come back at me, and I'm standing here with the bow in the stand, and I'm like, if it comes at me and it knows that I'm here, I'm going to have to draw back and hit it if it's going to do something to me, right? As it came at me, it veered. So maybe around like the 35-yard mark, I'm saying, and it starts to veer, and it goes right back up behind that oak tree. As it hits the oak tree, all I see is this um, when you take a picture with a camera, the flash,
Right.
that's like what I see, and it's dark. And I mean, it's probably sunset was that time of the year is probably like 6:30. I'm guessing because it was like the end of October-ish, so it's like 6 o'clock, 6:30, and it was dark enough to where like if I wait any longer, I'm not going to fully be able to see, right?
Right.
So that light, when it did that, it was like super bright. Like it was, I don't know how to explain it. It's like if you took a picture, but I was still able to see at that 50-yard distance where its legs should have came out from behind the tree, and it should have kept walking on its course that it came from. But it like fades away really quick. It wasn't like it was a hovering ball. I've seen those too, but this, during that encounter, that one time, it was a very bluish, not purple, not fully blue, but I don't know that color. Not it's a like an electric color is what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
this, you know what I'm saying? It almost looked bluish purple, like you would take a photograph picture. But
Right.
that's what mine looked like, and I didn't see it after that. So did that? Some people say that everything is energy and that they
Yeah.
disappear. So if they can disappear, is that them leaving is that their residual? The woof into the void or the veil or whatever. I don't know, but I just know what
Right.
I seen, and when that transpired, that scared the shit out of me, because I didn't understand what I was seeing because it was there and it was gone, and I'm thinking it's nighttime. It's virtually, by the time I get to the truck, I'm not gonna be able to see. So I left everything hanging. I hit the ground, right to the truck, flicked my light on, dropped my keys, fumbling around, got in the truck, and I was out. I went back the next day in a rainstorm with a buddy to go collect my ozonics and my backpack, everything else that I had left in there. But yeah, it was too close for comfort.
Right. Okay. Now, what about you, Michael? How would you describe the blue light you saw? Was it a flash or?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was watching possum races on Facebook. I I wish I was. I really wish I was joking about them. I'm really not. I was dead set on Pumpkin the possum, and she lost. So anyway,
This
yeah,
guy.
this guy right here. Um, so the blue light I saw, it was an orb. Like it was round. It was about the size of a baseball.
Hmm.
Um, you couldn't see through it. It was solid. It was bright. It was the most beautiful blue I've ever seen. It was bluer than the sky. It was blue. That's the only way I could really describe the color. It it hovered head high for several minutes, and then it started raising up, and it got, I don't know, 30 or 40 feet up in the air at the tree line, and It got brighter and brighter, and then it burst in a big flash. There was no
Wow.
sounds. There was no
Right.
um. There was no residue like something that blew up. I I look at Glenn Mink and I said, "Please tell me you saw that, because if you didn't, I'm having a stroke. Like, we got to get out of here. You're gonna have to pack my big ass off here."
Yeah.
Um, but the right after that was when the rock got thrown over our heads, and then I booked it down the ridge line. And the funny thing about that is we got orbs, not orbs. We had light anomalies on trail cam that night from that area. Three distinctive. Dan, you've seen that photo.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so
'Cause after you get
I don't
done, there's
know if
something I
they're.
want to share with the both of you
I
guys.
don't
Yeah.
know if they're Bigfoot related, or if Bigfoot
Right.
are attracted to them like moths. I don't know. So go ahead and share.
Yeah.
Sharing is
So,
caring, by the way. And I'm gonna have to cut this here in a minute. You go ahead and share though.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to get an idea of what you guys described and witnessed when you guys saw your lights and everything. So, two different occasions, actually, technically three different occasions when I was staying up in Pennsylvania. Um, well, me and the old girlfriend that I was staying with up there, we knew of an area. Well, she knew of the area, but she's never really spent time up there. And she's like, we started riding up there during the daytime. Like, hey, we wanted to scout the area out, and we found an area. It's like, hey, we should come back out here in the evening and just stay out here and listen. It was a good area in the state forest where there was a small little field, and on the edge of the field there were some boulders that bordered the field. And of course, keep in mind at this time it was probably around the month of January, and it was very cold. But we would go up there prepared. We'd probably bring a couple drinks. And she had her little fire maple burner cook stove where I think we ended up making coffee up there. Um, but I've shared this a few times, and I'll never forget this because it's something I never seen before elsewhere. No matter no other state I've been in and spent time in, I never seen this, but in Pennsylvania. A lot of people I have a lot of friends in Pennsylvania. I've heard a lot of weird reports come from out of Pennsylvania, but I got to experience a little something. To some people, this may not sound like much at all, but this particular night when we were hanging out here, I think it was actually the very first time we spent up there. We got up there just before nightfall, and of course we're hanging up there. It's been quiet. Of course, as the night starts to fall, you can feel the temperature drop even more, so it's getting a lot cooler. And I'm talking dropping down into for up there during that time, it was probably in the upper 20s, low 30s. That's how cold it got for around that time period. But we're standing there. Now she's sitting down on one of the lower boulders. I'm like three boulders back, because it kind of goes, the boulders are lined in a curve. Well, again, after the night fall came, and it's still dead quiet. Nothing. We're not hearing no wildlife, owls, nothing.
Yeah.
So I decided to, just for the heck of it, I decided to give off like a couple of whoops. I was like whoop, whoop, right back, two of them back to back. And it wasn't long. It was like probably about 5 to 10 seconds right after I gave off those two whoops. Straight out in front of me, now was a wood on wood. You could hear a clear wood on wood knock, and like I heard it, and I saw her. She kind of like jumped to her head in the direction where it came from. I said, "You hear that?" She said, "Yeah." And then a second one came. It was actually in my direct from where I was. It sounded like it came straight out in front of where she was sitting. And she said, "There's eye shine over here." I was like, "What?" She had a little light set up on her, on the boulder she was sitting on. Of course, from my position and my angle, I didn't see what she was talking about. So she kept talking about, I'm seeing eye shine. She kept saying it. So I got off my boulder, I walked around, and I sat right next to her, and she pointed, look, watch right over there. It's coming from over there. So I'm looking in the tree line at what she's looking at, and all of a sudden I'm starting to see something. But what I'm seeing, I can't say it was eye shine because you guys know what the stars look like up in the sky. You know, imagine seeing stars in the woods, but flashing back and forth. No, these were not fireflies. I know fireflies. These were like blue, yellow flashing like little stars in a cluster. Some of them tend to spread out, but most of them were staying in a cluster on the most part. Most of them were blue, and then I did see a couple that appeared to be yellow. And I'm observing this, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" She said, "They're there." I said, "Who's there?" She said, "That's Bigfoot." I said, "Okay." And I'm trying to understand her point of view or her views. I was like, "Well, what do you mean it's Bigfoot?" She said, "That's their energy. They're putting out that energy, you know." And I said, "But you were seeing eye shine over there." I said, "I'm not seeing nothing." But me, me being the objective person that I am, I think I got to debunk this. I got to figure
Yeah.
out what the heck I'm looking at. What do I do? I walk down there in that direction with a light. I said, it's got to be something on a tree, or there's got to be something over here doing this. But no, what do? I walk down there, walk inside that tree line, and I'm standing there looking up and down on the trees, see if there's something on the trees. And it's just, I'm not finding nothing, you know? And at one point, yeah, down over there through the woods, down where it drops down on the other side, I did hear a howl, which I think that could be contributed to like a coyote, but it's dead quiet right in the ear I am. And I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I hear what sounds like something was really close that decided to run off. You can hear like something scuffle on the ground, like run off real quick. I'm thinking, okay, what the heck was that? I said, maybe I got real close to a deer. I don't know. I never saw what did that. Now, for the record, I came back up. She was kind of upset that I walked away from her like that, which I don't blame her, but I'm curious. I had to check it out for myself. So I stayed back up there with her. And after a moment later, we started seeing them again in the same general area. Well, there was another time we've been up to that location. We would visit that location periodically, like twice, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, you know. And then there was another area, about a half mile up the forest road a little ways. It was actually a campsite, and we decided to hang out in that campsite. No one was camping there, so we decided, hey, let's just park here and hang out here and listen, and see what we
Right.
might be able to see. And I'm looking outside of the campsite when this is another time where it got dark. And keep in mind, the other spot where we were observing this was a half mile back behind us, and we're sitting on the picnic table. And I'm just, kind of scanning the trees in the darkness. And all of a sudden, it catches my attention again. I'm looking across through the woods, outside of the campsite, across the forest road, and all of a sudden, I'm seeing these weird flashes again. Like, what the heck? I said, I said, look straight over there. Look, follow my finger straight out. I'm seeing those lights again, but they're flashing over next to a tree this time. It was weird. Most of them were blue. I don't recall seeing any different colors that time, but most of them were like little stars flashing in the woods. And those are two different occasions I experienced the flashes. Now, let's move ahead a little bit. When I held my group camp out up in Pennsylvania last year, it was me, Ron, and a couple girls that camped out, and I think I brought it up to her attention. I don't know. I think Ron might knew about it. I think I might have mentioned it to him. I don't remember. However, right where our little campsite was, now keep in mind there's a little gravel road that comes up, and there's a metal gate where if you're going to go beyond it, you can only walk beyond it. But looking at the woods outside across from the camp at nighttime on probably 2 different nights, I've noticed this. You didn't see them every night, but they were there at least 2 different nights. I was like, I'm looking in the woods over there, and I'm like, I'm seeing these blue balls of light, but they're not moving. they're in a couple different spots. You know, one looked kind of low, one looked kind of high. I was like, the heck, I'm kind of like moving around trying to get position. I was like, is there a building over there? I don't know. I mean, but I did investigate the next day or so. I've been in there, those woods. There was no buildings, nothing. It's nothing but woods over there. And of course, if you go so far, there's no. Then you run into no trespassing signs. So I ended up looking on a map. I said, okay, there's a field. If you keep going so far back, there's a farm field way back there, and there's no buildings back there though. So I don't know what I was seeing, but outside of our camp, there were these blue lights. It's like they were stationary. So, but from the start of the flashing little stars in the woods to seeing these stationary blue lights, I don't know. It was to me, it was very mysterious, and I've never seen something like that elsewhere. Not here in Virginia, because um, I mean, I've been in these woods and focused and paid attention to the woods here in Virginia for years, and I can't say I've ever experienced that here in Virginia or any other woods in any other state. But this happened in Pennsylvania, so that's why I wanted to get your guys. I wanted to get details and see what you guys thought. You know, or how you guys describe what you guys saw versus what I was seeing up in Pennsylvania. So, but
That's
Pennsylvania has a long history of weird, bizarre occurrences up there. So, and then what Mike was talking about earlier, lay back and look in the sky. In the same area where we had the tree knocks and the flashing lights in the woods. Well, there was one time I was looking up in the sky because there was one night where the air traffic was pretty busy. You see, planes and jets flying at night. But there was one particular star that kind of caught my attention. I don't know what drawn me to stare at this star. At least that's what I thought it was, a star. And I'm staring up there, and all of a sudden it just shot off like lightning. Like, you know, there's a lot of UFO sightings up there. I don't know what I saw, but that was strange too. So,
for sure.
so yeah. But Pennsylvania, yeah, a lot of strangers up there, guys. So
No,
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So,
I wish it would have came down and abducted you.
no, I
You
mean,
would
yeah,
you would have
they
told
would have dropped.
nobody.
Oh, they would have dropped me right back off. So it was like,
They'd have been
nope.
like, I'd have been like, "Hey Dan, how was your weekend?" I didn't do anything at all. How was your weekend, Mike? Come on, Dan. Nothing happened. No, nothing happened. Nothing
Not
happened at
even a
all.
probing.
Not
Nothing got
even
probed.
nothing got probed. But Dan, I didn't mention nothing about getting probed. Yeah, that's what I
I
mean.
know.
Nothing
I
got.
know what you were getting at, Mike. I knew what you were getting at. That's why I joked with it.
I
So,
mean, if you got probed, you got probed. It's 2025. I can't judge you. Did you like it?
hey, all I saw was a fire in the sky. That's all I know.
Easy there, Travis. Easy there, Travis.
Hey, that was a good movie, man. That was a good movie.
It was
So,
a good movie.
yeah,
I've met Travis
yeah,
Walton. He's a guy, man.
Interesting
The
character.
um,
yeah.
but no, you know, like I said a minute ago, I'm gonna. It's 10 o'clock. I've been up since 4 o'clock.
Ryan's just messaged. He's got to jump off soon too. So, because we're
Yeah.
hitting the
So
2 hour mark, guys.
I
So,
wanna do something. I don't, this completely deviates away from my norm, and I want to do this more. So,
oh
um,
yeah, absolutely.
like I said earlier, there's a lot of things that's changed with me over the last year. I am I am several months sober, and I feel good. And couldn't have done it without God. I couldn't have done it without my friends and family. Um, Dan, I want to tell you right now, you gotta you gotta let stuff roll off your back, brother, and not take things so to heart. And you're a good dude. I love you. I really do. I've told you that over the years, and there's you know I seen the comment a minute ago that said the Bigfoot elite or the gatekeepers, whatever. It's
Yeah, I
not
saw that earlier.
it's not gatekeepers or anything like that, folks. It's a fact that most of us have been doing this for a long ass time, and we get tired of seeing people come into this community that don't know nothing about what they're doing, and we don't know nothing about what we're doing. I get hoodooed every time I go into the woods. I mean, I think I've got something figured out, and damned if I don't come out going, well, hell, what was that all about? That's why it took me so long to write this book. Circle back around. The book's available on hangar1publishing.com. Just click the link and go to it. Um, the next book, might as well announce. This is volume 2. The Bigfoot volume 1 is out. The next book will be volume 2. Emphasis on the woo at the end of 2. We'll explore the supernatural world of Bigfoot and what we've talked about in the latter part of the show. Something that I really want to do right now is say this. I went through the comments and I can only scroll up to D Shizzle Faux Life 832. So thank you everyone who engaged on the comments tonight and asked
Yeah, we had
questions.
a lot of
Southern
good
Belle Bigfoot.
interaction tonight.
Southern Belle Bigfoot, don't know who you are. Love you. You're good. You're cool.
She's
Robert
awesome.
Dan.
She just interviewed me not long ago. So.
Hey, Southern Belle, I'm doing book promos right now. Michael W. Cook, The Bigfoot, Volume 1 is out, hanger1publishing.com.
There you go,
Come on.
Southern Belle. Jump on Michael Cook. If you need me to connect you, I will.
Hey,
She's
whoa,
on
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Instagram and
whoa,
Facebook
whoa, 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 whoa. Don't jump on
for
Michael Cook.
interviews, podcast purposes.
I'm fragile. I'm beat up right now. Oh yeah, by the way, I said I was going to say it real quick. I got hit in the face with a piece of metal last week, not by somebody, inanimate object hit me. It's caused a concussion, broken nose, black eyes. I look like I've been in an old school scruff. Um, so I can honestly say I've never been hit this hard in my life, and I don't want to. I think I could take a hit from Mike Tyson, though. I'm pretty sure I could. Um, Took it like a champ. It just knocked me out for about 10 minutes. So didn't cry.
That big metal door. That's what he calls the girl
That's
that
the
hit
big metal door. Um, so that's another thing that I want to say. Ryan and I talked about it a minute ago. And I had one of my dearest friends text me a minute ago. He's listening to this, and he said that he was happy to hear me talk about God. And God is real, folks. God loves you. He wants the best for you, even if it's getting hit in the face with a metal bar. That's probably the best for me. It knocked a little sense into me. I just want to say this. Heavenly Father, thank you for everything you give us and everything you do. And thank you for the opportunities that you have given us over the years, that we have met the people that we've met, some good, some bad, some are blessings and some are lessons. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that we keep on following you and the word, then we will find answers one way or the other, and maybe not even to the questions that we think we're asking. Maybe it's the questions we are not asking that we'll find the answers to. Uh, thank God every day for my friends Ryan, Daniel, Taylor, Jody, everybody out there listening. Thank you all so much. God loves you. God believes in you. Believe in Him. He's there for you, and you can go ahead and announce that one thing if you want to announce it there, Daniel. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to say that when you were done talking. First of all, let me say, well said. I'm glad you shared those words at the end. I hope everyone takes that into heart and listens to what you had said. And then, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never met Michael Cook, or even if you have and you want to see him again, you need to come out June 20th and June 21st to the annual ECBRO Virginia Bigfoot Conference. as me and Michael have been in discussion, Michael Cook is going to be speaking at that event and selling his new book. So, among all the other authors, Michael Cook will be there. You'll be able to buy a copy and get a signed copy as well. So, um, you know what? I never get tired of having you at my event. I mean, I might try to work it out with you to have you there every year, regardless if it works out that way for you.
I
So,
mean,
uh,
eventually, I'm gonna have to start charging you. I mean,
well,
yeah,
we'll make that. We'll figure that out.
you gotta.
Yeah.
It's either ass,
But
gas, or grass, son. Ain't nobody riding for free.
so I mean, and the other thing too, I wanted to mention too, because long before I ever started any Bigfoot conference here in Virginia, I mean, Michael participated. Well, we've actually spoken at events down in Kentucky together, and before I started my events up here, I mean, I started doing library, holding library lectures to do presentations, and Michael Cook came up and participated along with Gwendolyn Guthrie. I mean, she was cool. I was glad she came up with you, and they both did excellent presentations. And then again, I've been at other events with Michael Cook. I, you know, shoot, Michael, we've known each other for over what 9, 10 years.
Oh God, it's way too long to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a journey. That's for sure. I mean, 'cause,
Oh, it's been an adventure.
yeah. I mean, we've both been through a lot of crap, but we're still here.
Y'all haven't lived. You have not lived until you see Daniel Benoit shovel Chinese buffet food into
Oh
his
my
mouth.
gosh. Well, for the record, and at the event, after the event, now you remember last year when you came up to the event, we came over and hung out at the house here. We had a
Yeah.
campfire and just kind of shoot the shit. Well, I plan on doing that again for Friday, and then Saturday. I figure after the main event on Saturday, we could all get together and do Mexican again nearby at the up the road from the event. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
I don't see any reason why we can't. I mean, I'm who knows. I'm
cause
fun. I'm fun to hang out with.
yeah, because dad likes having the company, but so
That's worth
yeah,
the
he like
trip right there, is just to see Bill Benoit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he just came into the garage here a little while ago to grab a beer out the fridge.
Oh
So
yeah, you all can drink around me. It's not like I'm like going to fall off the wagon or anything. I got tired of drinking, and I started letting it.
yeah,
I started letting it get to me, and I started being like, well, when I get off work tonight, I can't wait to have that beer. And I was like, and then one day I was like, what in the hell's wrong with me?
yeah.
And
I usually
I started back in the church, and Sunday morning. And if anybody in Eastern Kentucky is listening, you want to come to Grace Baptist Church, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you down on Straight Creek in Harlan County, 221, and we'd love to have you. And it's a cool, laid back kind of church. We tell stories and talk about God and how Jesus is King, and that forgiveness is out there, and it's a good time. I got a shirt a buddy of mine gave me the other day. He says, I love Jesus, but I do cuss a little, and I'm a little mean. So
but with that being said, now the first weekend in May, I got to come down to Rock Hill, South Carolina. I got to do some filming down there, and that's gonna be on Saturday. But
is this for that porno?
yeah, the new Bigfoot porno horror thrill one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was
no,
supposed to be in that as the water boy, but I had to back out.
the water boy. No, actually, now that you brought it, the filming project is for a film which it won't be coming out till 2026. It's called The Last Footprint. So yeah, I'll be coming down the film on Saturday for that. But if things just happen to work out for that Sunday, maybe I can meet up with you there. No, it depends how
I'm
far.
literally I'm literally 3 hours from Rock Hill, so just call.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
because
just
yeah. So
call.
that would probably be on the way back up, probably. So a little,
Yeah.
might be a slight touch out of the way, but
I'll catch you over in Kingsport or something. Or Bristol's a good place to meet at.
okay, Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, because
it's
like I
solid.
said, from me to Rock Hill, South Carolina, it's about a 5 hour drive. So
Yeah, and you got to go
yeah,
right through Bristol, Virginia. So
Hey, I
right,
don't
and
want
I'll
straight
to. I
down
don't
to
want to cut.
81.
I don't want to cut you guys off, but I'm going to hop off here. I got a couple things I got to get done.
Ryan.
Okay, hey Brian, thank you for coming on, man. This has been great.
No
So
All
problem,
right,
buddy.
Dan. I'll talk with you, Mike.
See you, buddy.
all right, sounds
Dan,
good, guy.
Dan, I'm leaving
So
you too. You can sit and talk to everybody as long as you want to, but
yeah, I'm
um,
gonna jump off and call it in myself. So yeah, because I'm gonna
folks,
go.
thank you for listening to this, whatever this is tonight, and you can see me in June, I guess, if Dan talks to me real sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time, man. The ECBR annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference is gonna be huge this year. We got the medieval Renaissance group on site.
Max Furyk is going to be there.
Yeah, he's gonna be one of our
He
speakers, and he's putting out his new book as well. So the Lost
he
Tribes of
and
Bigfoot.
he and I are on the same publishing contract, so
Yeah,
uh,
that's one thing he brought up. Yeah, he brought that to my attention. So yeah,
he and I will probably need to be set beside of each other.
that's not a
Uh,
problem. We could definitely arrange
so
that. So,
and I'll be helping Dano here MC a little bit, and then I think are you yeah I'm speaking right.
yeah, I'm gonna revise the speaker itinerary, and I'll have that up before long. So
And if you buy a book online and bring it, then that's fine. If you want to buy a book there, it's fine. I've got three other books coming out within the next 2 years. The next one will be Strange Kentucky, and then the next one after that will be the Bigfoot Volume Two, Woo, and then American Cryptid is the next one they signed me to. So I'm currently in the middle of piecing all these together because the material's already written. It's just
that's right.
it's just putting them all together. So, um, but yeah, all right, Dan, I'm cutting off, man. I'll bye guys, bye everybody.
Sounds good. Everyone, you guys have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.